So in just a few minutes, we will be welcoming our keynote speaker, Lindsay Boccardo, to talk more about the brave relationships that our organization will need to continue building. Lindsay will ask us to consider who we want on our life team and demonstrate how we can focus on inviting these individuals into our lives to help us remain focused on what really matters. In order to lead bold and purposeful lives, we need to surround ourselves with people who challenge us and love us fiercely. Lindsay Boccardo is a nationally recognized millennial expert who enjoys working with young talent and their organizations. Her education and training include one-to-one programs, group coaching, and seminars. Some of the organizations she's partnered with include Cars.com, Intern Bridge, the Indiana Supreme Court, and numerous fraternities and sororities. She is passionate about her work, and I just had the best dinner learning more about what she does and cannot wait for you all to hear her message tonight. Her goal is to bring all generations together to build strong companies and organizations. I'd like to now welcome Lindsay to the stage.
Thank you. All right, travel back in time with me to elementary school. Hopefully you have some good memories in there. Do you remember the day before you were let out for summer break? You're in your classroom, you're like cleaning out your desk. Oh, there's my unicorn pencil. I forgot about that, right? And you're having fun time with your friends. Your teachers kind of gave up on teaching you anything the last day, so you're watching Willy Wonka again, right? You're eating popsicles and you're thinking about, oh my gosh, what am I gonna get to do this summer? Maybe you like to make s'mores on the campfire. Maybe you like to jump on the trampoline. That was my thing. I loved just jumping up and down for hours. Kind of weird looking back, but that was a thing. But you know what I love the most? Sleepovers. Do you remember how you would plan like the first sleepover when school let out? It's summer. You get to do it as much as you want now. You don't have to do homework the next day. Well, it just so happens that tomorrow, June 21st, is the first day of summer. And we're all here together. And we're going to have a big sleepover together. So I want to celebrate that with you, that we get to be here tonight together. Yes. Grown-ups get to have sleepovers too. We just have it at fancy hotels and our food is plated for us. It's no longer pizza from Pizza Hut, right? I'm so excited that I get to be here with you. I didn't sleep barely a wink last night, maybe because my dogs kept me up, but I think it was because I was so excited to be here with you. Just a little background on why I'm here and who I am. This is me in college. That's a long time ago now. I had long hair, gave that up quite a while ago. But this is my best friend, Rich, at the time. He went on to do kind of the standard career thing. He's now a lawyer. And he has his own office and in Rochester, New York. He's, it's like his jam. Oh, we got somebody from Rochester. Oh! Yes, anybody here at Syracuse University, upstate New York, come hang with me. Okay, anybody can come hang with me, but certainly love that part of the country. So he went on to do that, and I sat down with my parents, senior year. Do we have any seniors? Okay, juniors, you're gonna feel this real soon. Your parents are gonna be like, so honey, what are you doing with your life? And my parents had that conversation with me. And it was Christmas break. I remember sitting in the fancy dining room eating Italian food, because my last name is Boccardo. That's what we do. And I was like, I knew it was coming. My dad was like, so Linz, how's your resume coming? You gonna go to grad school? I know you've thought about that. I was like, ooh, this is gonna be rough. That whole resume job thing, I don't know. It's just not quite what I wanna do. And grad school, I just finished a bunch of school. That's not really, I'm not into that. I'd just rather travel the world in a rock band. How do you think that conversation went with Dad? Did not go well. But I did. They let me do it anyways because I was now an adult, so I could just do what I wanted, kind of. But I got to travel the world. I got to play on a pool table in Mexico City. I don't recommend doing that ever, but I did it. I got to play in prisons, meet people from all different backgrounds. I got to play in underground pubs in Europe. I basically got to see the world and learn a lot about people. And what I found, even though I love music, and I've probably lost some of my hearing from hitting things with sticks for a living, although I love it, what I really love is talking to people before and after the show. Because when you're a musician, people want to talk to you. And they'll share your stories. They'll share whatever you want to hear, they'll share with you. And I found that fascinating. And so After several years of touring, I'm not Taylor Swift, newsflash. So touring when you're not Taylor Swift is a sleeping bag on the floor. Just if you think it's sexy, it's not, okay? I ate a lot of Wendy's. I never want to taste Wendy's chili again, ever. But I got to do that, and then when I kind of came to the end of that, I just knew it's time to move on. I want to try something else. I went back to school for coaching because I wanted to understand how people worked and why they make the decisions they do, particularly around their careers. So I created a program called Unleash My Career. Most of my time is spent with clients and inside of companies, helping millennials figure out how to take everything they've learned in life so far and make an awesome career out of it. So it's really exciting. I like to think that I help people keep a hold of their dreams and then make them come true. So that sounds like fun, doesn't it? I love my work. But today we're here to talk about relationships, which is actually one of the most important things when it comes to your career. These are me and some of my friends. Forgot about that slide. But I have a dream for you while you're here. I have a dream for you, and I'm sure you have a dream too. My dream is that you go back to your hotel room tonight and you're so excited because you had a great conversation at your table, you got to know some new people, you have a fresh vision for why you're here, and ultimately you leave with a changed perspective. That's my dream for you while you're here, and I think it's possible. So what's your dream for a convention? Really, what do you dream? I know you got here and some of you are like, Linz, just happy I made my flight. Like, pretty much, that was a win. Anybody here have a moment like that where you're like, please bags come or else I'm not gonna have anything. I'll have to wear my sweatpants all weekend, oh, right? But you're all here now, and I want you to take a minute at your table. You've already got to know each other a little bit. But I want you to turn to somebody next to you and answer these questions. If you could dream and make anything of this convention, what will you experience? What would be a highlight for you? And what would be the most insane, amazing thing that could happen besides Chris Pratt showing up? I'm taking that one. Take a minute and share with somebody. But real quick, this is a big room. There's a lot of you in here, and I've got to get you back quick after you share. So I was thinking I could use like the dove call, and then I Googled what a dove sounds like. It's not very compelling. It's like, ooh, ooh, ooh. I don't think that's going to work. So I'm just going to clap 2 times, and if you hear me clap, you clap back, right? And we're going to get the room back really quick. So just know I'm just going to give you a few minutes here, then come back when I start clapping, okay? Go ahead. All right. Awesome. Did everybody get a chance to share? Some of your wheels are still spinning. You're like, I didn't know you were going to ask me about my life. Oh, okay, I got to think about it. Great. That's why you're here. I hope that part of your dream for your life is to spend more time with your friends and to make great friends. Stole us from Instagram. Are these girls here? If you're here, put your, yeah, ooh, ooh. Oh no, she's like, no, just kidding, it's not me. Okay, that's cool. So this is actually the secret to success. Being connected to the right people and in the right ways. Malcolm Gladwell says it this way: no one, not rock stars, not professional athletes, not software billionaires, and not even geniuses, ever make it alone. We actually truly need each other. If you have big dreams, you will not be able to do it without other people coming alongside you. And that's what's so beautiful about this. It's not just that we have a multi-generational group here. There's women here who can help you do whatever you want to do. You'll be blown away if you start sharing your dreams with each other. You'll be blown away at the people that will come out and say, hey, I can help you with that. I did that. I bet if we sat down here with some of the women who've been, volunteering for over 20 years, they've seen a lot of life. And there's maybe you want to start a business. Maybe you have questions about having a family. Whatever you have questions about, there's people here that can actually speak into that and mentor you and help you. And we know Malcolm Gladwell does a ton of research, and I see this every day with my clients in their career, that no one makes it alone. I'd like to show you some pictures I found of people out in the wild also spending time with each other. When we look at human beings, we study what makes them thrive. It's very similar to animals. Isn't that like it's a herd? Oh, now it's a herd of elephants. Oh, now there's the people out in the wild. Oh, now there's the horses out. They're all herd animals. You are a herd animal. You are not meant to go it alone. And if you're one of those people that had to come here and you don't necessarily know anybody really well and you're like, oh gosh, I'm just gonna try to get through this and then get back to my room and not connect, You're like the horse that's like, where is everybody? I'm totally lost. You need a herd. And that's probably why you joined Sigma Kappa in the first place. But I want to make sure that you have it while you're here in the next few days. And I love these kids. They're their own little herd. Just had to throw them in there, give you a little warm fuzzy. Because connection, when we look at connecting to people, it's more than just, wouldn't it be nice if I had friends? It's actually about survival. Kids in orphanages, they used to have them lined up in rows. And the caretakers would come and help the kids and touch them and feed them. What would happen to the kids who didn't get attention at the end of the day? Does anybody know? They would start to wither. And it's not because they weren't being fed. It was literally because they weren't getting human touch. We all need human touch. There's a lot of research around hugs, which I think is awesome. Imagine if you're like, what do you do for a living? I research hugs. Come here, you, right? But the average person needs 8 hugs a day to survive. You really can't live on your own. Everybody has a strong feeling about that. Oh, no, everybody's hugging. Oh, yeah, it worked. Okay, come back to me, you little Care Bears. Come back. On the flip side is somebody who's I've done a lot of work in prisons. When I say I've been to prison, I mean I've been in prison to visit prisoners and then I leave prison. Just so you don't have to be afraid of me. I didn't go to, but as I spoke with prisoners and as I've read books about how we handle prison culture, we find that when you put somebody in solitary confinement, away from any other human contact, their brain starts hallucinating. You are not meant to be alone. Your body and your biology is not meant to do it. And beyond that, if you want to self-actualize, if you want to become your best self, any psychologist will tell you first you have to be connected to other people. Does everybody, who's heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs? Like everyone, right? At some point, you had to take a test on this and you probably got 1 and 2 flip-flopped or so. You know, we flip-flop this sometimes in our head, but look at this with me. Your basic needs have to be met first before you can self-actualize. Do you remember that? So if you don't have food and water, you're not like, how can I be my highest self? You're like, how do I make it through the day, right? So if you're at a point where your physiological and safety needs are met, the next step is love and belonging. So even on a psychological, personal level, you cannot become your highest self without feeling love and belonging to a group. So thank goodness that you're here. I want to spend a little time tonight talking about brave relationships. What do you think I mean when I say brave relationships instead of just like run-of-the-mill friendships? Just shout it out. I won't make you get on the mic this time, okay, guys? Be vulnerable. Yes, 10 points. What else? The points mean nothing. But who else? What else does it mean to have a brave relationship versus just like a friend? Honest, accountability. Feedback. Oh, yeah. Ooh. Being outside your comfort zone. Yeah. What's that? Mutual, two-way friendships. We all know what it's like to be in a one-way friendship, don't we? Who recognizes her? So when I first saw this movie, 2 things happened. I was like, I'm going to change the world, and I need to go to Pilates for a little while. First I go to Pilates, then I get that cool armor, then I change the world, right? But the thing that's so interesting about Wonder Woman, I find it to be interesting, is that she is really courageous and a little bit scary, right? Women, we are so powerful, and I think sometimes we're a little afraid of each other. Can I get an amen? Right? We're a little scary. Think about how powerful a woman is for a second. You, without even having to think, and force it, you could grow another human being with your own body. That is insane. Do you ever stop and think, if I was just like, you know what I think I want to create a human out of no existence. That's what I'd like to do. Boo-doo-boo-bop. I can do that. That's like a magic trick. That's some powerful stuff, right? My taxi driver on the way here wanted to tell me everything he knew about everything, which was interesting. And one of the things he said, though, he was like, do you know why men over the history of the world have suppressed women's education? I was like, I'm going to let you answer that one, buddy. I'm not going to go. What do you think? And he's like, because women are smarter than men. And I was like, I'm just going to slow clap for you in this taxi. But really, it's not about who's better or anything like that. I'm just saying we are really powerful, and sometimes we forget about that. Sometimes we forget that we can really hurt each other. We can really help each other. But we are powerful, powerful beings. How many times has this sentence haunted you? Right? For some reason, a lot of my friends are very attractive people. Like, they have been models. And I'm like, why do all my friends have to be models? You know, in the picture, I'm like, boo, I don't want to do it. We just posted, my friend Grace, we're like, let's go out for your birthday. And they'll have jumpers on, and I'm like a tomboy. So I'm in the picture, I'm like, oh my gosh, I look like a block. You know? But we all deal with this sentence. We all do it, and we're all a little bit afraid of each other. Now, this is what's interesting. I think this is why we're afraid of each other. When we're kids in America, the way we socialize children, kids and humans in general can be kind of prone to aggression and conflict. How do little boys get out their aggression and conflict? They tackle each other to the ground, right? They punch each other. Billy punches Tom, and the teacher goes, Billy, knock it off. We don't accept that type of aggressiveness here. Or they go out on the field, and because they have helmets and shirts on, they're allowed to tackle each other. I want to try that in the next few days. I brought a couple helmets and a couple shirts if you guys want to put them on with me. Just kidding. But girls, we're aggressive in a different way, aren't we? Girls tend to be aggressive with our words. And teachers have a hard time catching it. It's really hard to to see that girls are gossiping. It's not as easy as slugging somebody in the face. You just don't see it. And sometimes nowadays, it doesn't even look like this, it looks like this. What are you doing? I'm just texting about you and you're right next to me. Right? That's yucky. But that's something that we do. So when you think about our aggressiveness and the fear that we can have around each other, know that you are a very powerful being. And you have the power when you're here to make somebody's day or to ruin it, to make their life really hard. So I wanted to see if you guys would be up for this, just for the next 4 days, if we could together as a group decide that we're not going to gossip about each other. Do you think that that is possible? Some of you are like, and some of you are like, You're like putting your phone down right now. You're like right now, this thing? Oh. But really, we're going to talk more about gossip, but I want to plant this little seed. Think about what it would take for you to stop yourself and maybe pause your friends and say, hey, that's not the way we do things. Let's just nip it. We're going to have to come up with like a little code word so you're not embarrassed, right? Maybe it'll be dove. Maybe you have to make the dove noise if you see it happening. That's like a pigeon dove, but it's fine. Anyways, think about if you're willing to do that. I'll come back and check with you in a little bit, okay? So how do we build brave relationships and live with heart? I asked you this earlier, and you guys were nailing it. There's 4 ingredients I want to talk about. The first is vulnerability. Somebody said that one. We're going to talk about deep listening. Deep listening is different than being like, you said those things, now I'm going to say my things. Then you're going to say things, then I'm going to say things. It's way more intense than that. I want to practice it with you tonight. Also, non-judgment. We all have different backgrounds. We come from different families, and our stories don't always correlate. And so sometimes we make kind of perception judgments on other people, but we really don't know. We're going to talk about that. And then certainly compassion, because what I see more than anything when I work with millennials every day is that we all need a strong dose of compassion more than anything. That will bring healing. So vulnerability. I'm just going to have you practice this with yourself, okay? I want to give you a minute just to reflect in your mind. Let's see if we can stay quiet. I want you to reflect on these 2 questions. I like to think that I am, fill in the blank, and I'm afraid that I might be, fill in that blank. I'm not going to ask you to share that, because one of the things about vulnerability is you have to do it with somebody that you know you're safe with, and I think you're all safe people, but it'd be a lot to be like, I'm going to force you guys to be vulnerable with each other about your deepest fears, because you just had dinner. Like, we haven't been here long enough. So I want to give you a minute, though. Think in your head, maybe make a little note. I want to challenge you to share this with somebody this weekend, maybe over lunch when you're just kind of like, what should we talk about? I know, let's talk about vulnerability. I want you to think to yourself, I like to think that I am blank, and I'm afraid that I might be what? Just think for a minute, reflect on those questions in your mind. To the degree that you accept whatever came to mind when you read these, that's the degree that you're free. I remember I was in my therapist's office. I have a therapist. They're amazing. If you don't have one or if you've never gone to one, you might find out some really cool things about yourself. And one time, I was like, gosh, I'm afraid I might be a little too intense. And you're like waiting for affirmation, like, no. You know, and she was like, I'm like, oh, crap. Ugh, right? It's like, I'm afraid I might be a little too intense. And then we started to talk about, like, how does being intense serve you as a person? Because, you know, as a woman, I'm like, I don't want to be like, I do want to be Wonder Woman. I want her arms. But I really want to be an intense person. And then I started to think about my life and the things that I love. Makes perfect sense, doesn't it? I hit things with sticks. I play the drums. Now I'm up here. 750 of you are looking at me. I've got to be somebody who's comfortable with intensity. So some of the things that you're afraid that you might be this weekend are the exact things that make you unique, that people admire about you, that you're afraid of. So I'm not going to ask you to share those at your table, but we're even just practicing vulnerability with ourselves. Some of you, I know, when I challenged you to think about this, you zoned out. You were just like, I think I want that dessert again. I wonder if Starbucks will be crazy in the morning. When are we going to the beach? Some of you went to that place, and I totally get it. Challenging you to just stop for a minute and be vulnerable and real with yourself is the first step to building brave relationships with other people. Deep listening. This is what I want you to do next. I'm going to share a little skill set that we're going to all practice together with your partner at your table. So wait till I'm done explaining it, and then you'll go do it, okay? You're going to, with your partner, you're each going to get a chance to share a challenge that you had in the last year. It could be anything. It could be professional, it could be personal. I got a third dog, which I don't know what. I was like, Merry Christmas to me, not. There's a puppy peeing everywhere. But, you know, that was a challenge for me because I had to figure out my schedule because I'm here now, and apparently dogs can't watch themselves or feed themselves, right? So I had this challenge I had to work through. It doesn't have to be deep and personal. I just want you to think of some type of challenge that you've had in the last year. And the other person is going to practice acknowledging and validating whatever you say. Oftentimes, in this, I was just with a bunch of professionals yesterday, and we were talking about their life and some of the things they struggle with, and we found that oftentimes at work and when we're in like task mode or school mode, we don't really stop and listen to each other and go, oh man, that must be hard. That must be hard. I was meeting with a team yesterday, and one of the women on the team, she's a leader, she said, I had a really hard Father's Day. We were really busy. We were busier than I expected. I tried to keep the kids happy so that Dad would be happy, and by the end of the day, I was toast. And everyone at our table said, man, there must have been something in the air. That was a hard Father's Day for me too. And everyone was like, yeah, that makes perfect sense that you're tired now. And they just gave her a little dose of compassion by listening to what she actually was saying. Made all the difference in the world. I want you to practice that skill today because we are not good at it. I had to be trained in coaching school how to do this. Like, and now say this. I was like, okay, now I say these words, right? But over time, it's made me such a better friend, and now I have friends that can do that back for me mutually. So with your partner, you're each going to share something you've struggled with. Here's some phrases to get you started in terms of acknowledging and validating somebody. You can say, of course you're feeling that way. Anybody would. You can say, it sounds like you're really tired, or it sounds like that was really frustrating for you. Or you can just say, oh, that would be hard. That'd be difficult. I just want you to practice doing this. It's like, you know when you go to Target, I did this one time, I learned my lesson. I went to Target, and I was like, I am going to be more feminine. I'm going to get a jumper. No. I go in the dressing room, and it's just not, it's not working. It's not working for me. It's like those times when you were a kid and you don't even let your mom see. You know, you're just like, nope, no, we're gonna pass on the jumper, you know. Give me the relaxed fit jeans, Ma, and the t-shirt, thanks. So when you try this on, you might be like, this is Lindsay in a jumper right now, and that's okay. We're just trying it on. It's about building brave friendships. Brave friendships means that we're really there for each other when things are hard. This is a skill to practice. Turn to your same partner, try this on. I'll get you back in a few minutes, okay? Okay. Okay, we got everybody back almost? Okay, we got it. Awesome. I threatened another clap and everybody stopped talking. I love it. I want to hear from you. What was it like first to be the person that all you had to do is acknowledge and validate somebody else? What was that like? Just to give them a nice phrase, let them know you're listening. It was easy. She said it was easy. It's light, right? It's actually not that hard to do. Oftentimes, we try to figure out people's problems for them. Like you think a good friend is taking on other people's problems and fixing it. And that's actually super exhausting and it comes off as controlling. And it's tiring for both people. You don't get closer. You're telling the other person, when you try to fix somebody's problems, you're telling the other person, I don't think you can handle this, honey. Let me tell you how you should fix your own issue, right? But we all do that. That's what leaders do. We do it unconsciously. We've been kind of trained to take on other people's problems. But instead, we could just say phrases like this. What was it like to be listened to? What was it like when you shared something and somebody was like, oh man, that's tough. Oh man, having 3 dogs, you're crazy, but that's tough. But what was it like to be listened to? What's that? Awesome. What else? Encouraging? Yeah?
Comforting.
Comforting. You know Maslow's hierarchy of needs that we were talking about? He actually did a lot of research in the early 1900s. So this is a lot of his work has been tested and it's true because it's been around for a long time and it keeps proving to be true. And one of the things that he said is that the United States, we need therapists because we actually don't know how to connect with each other. Other cultures don't have this problem, but we do. And his hypothesis, it's because we don't know how to listen to each other. So I pay somebody $100 to do this type of work in my life. So what if we could be the type of women that create brave relationships, and we're brave because we're not trying to take the person's power away. We just have to say a phrase like this and let them figure it out. It's a totally different way to live. It's a paradigm shift. But I promise that if you try it over the next few days, you're going to go, wow, this is weird. I feel closer to people and less stressed out. Just try it with me this weekend, okay? Okay, this last piece here, non-judgment. We all are born into a family, into a culture. And from the moment that you're born, you have experiences that create for you expectations of what you think life is about. So it's like you have little baby glasses coming out. And then as you live more life, those lenses fill with more experiences and more experiences and more experiences. And so whenever I'm talking to somebody, I think about their little baby face with little baby glasses on, and I think about my baby face with baby glasses on, and I think, wow, we've had really different life experiences. There's a good chance that if I just look at their life on the outside, that I'm really not getting the full picture. There's a good chance that when I give advice or gossip, I'm actually not connected to what's really going on in their life. I may have no idea what life is like for them. So if we can remember together that judgment is the type of attitude that we take on when we feel insecure. So we're like, oh, this is how I'm better than you. I got it. Awesome. I didn't get dumped, but you did. That's too bad, right? If we can get out of that mindset and just remember, wow, Lindsay's had way different experiences than Sarah. Sarah's had way different experiences than Melissa. And when you put us all together, we've got to just slow down and actually hear each other and accept that we're going to have different backgrounds, we're going to have different opinions, and that's okay. There's kind of this phenomenon where if you don't agree with me, I can't be around you. And what if you were brave enough to say, wow, we kind of disagree about this. Okay, still love you. That's cool. We don't have to agree on everything. We don't have to be aligned in every way to be friends because we're both secure enough that we care about each other and we don't need to be judging each other anymore. Gossip is when we think we know the whole story. I guarantee that you look at somebody's Instagram, you see a picture, you write a story of what's going on in their life, and there's a really good chance that you are off the mark. Hasn't this happened to you as well? Haven't we all been in a scenario where we feel dramatically misunderstood? Like, whoa, how did you get there? That's not even close to what happened. This happens to all of us, and it's really damaging. It probably would be better if we would just tackle each other. So that's what I'm going to commit to not gossiping, but you're allowed to punch each other in the face. Thank you and good night. No, I'm just kidding. But really, that's what we're talking about. This type of aggression between each other is really, really dangerous. It probably would be better to just get punched in the face. So who here is willing to commit to non-judgment, which leads to holding off on gossip? Who here would truly be willing to say, look, I'm not going to do it perfect, but I really want to try this experiment of just choosing to not waste my energy on talking about other people? If you're willing to do that, will you just stand up with me? You're going to feel like a real jerk if you don't stand up. It worked. My social pressure worked. Yes, good job. Excellent. Where do you see gossip rearing its head? If you've been to a convention before, or you've been in a group of 750 women, Wonder Women who are very powerful, where do you think gossip tends to fly under the radar? Maybe we don't notice it. You can gently encourage each other. We don't have to shame each other. It doesn't have to turn into like, you're gossiping! You stood up! And you're gossiping. It doesn't have to turn into a thing like that, but what's a phrase that we could use if we're just like, you know what, let's call a timeout on this conversation. It's feeling a little yucky. What's a phrase we can use? I literally have no idea, so you're going to have to come up with it. What's that? Love, love? Dove love. That's great. Okay. It rhymes. Okay. So you're going to, when you're hanging out at lunch and somebody's like, did you see? Nobody actually ever does this, by the way. Ever. If I see somebody do it, I'm going to be like, dove love. But if you start to feel a conversation getting yucky, what if you were just like, hey, let's dove love this? And then you can say a cuss word at the end of that. Let's dove love this. You know the word. But you can make it light. You don't have to be serious. We're not going to have a gossip police here. I'm not going to go undercover the next few days and wear a mustache and try to catch you, okay? But it'd be really cool if we could support each other in talking about our dreams and our intentions for this weekend in our life. Wouldn't that be amazing if we all just did that for each other and chose that way instead? Awesome. The last piece that has to do with everything we just talked about is compassion. Why the heck would there be a mirror on that slide? That's weird. Oh, because we have to give compassion to ourselves first. Oh, loophole, right? Have you ever met somebody who's like, well, I'm hard on myself, but I'm not that way with other people? That's impossible. That's literally impossible. Because you can only give away resources that you already have for yourself. It's the only way to do it. It's like being like, well, I'm broke, but I give money to other people. You're like, that's impossible. That is literally physically impossible. Compassion is the same way. We are not trained in our culture to give ourselves compassion. What we tend to do when things don't go as expected is we get filled with fear and dread, and we're afraid that people aren't going to like us anymore, and we feel shame, and we isolate, and we kind of like moonwalk out of situations and wait for it to calm down, right? Compassion is about going like, you know what? I did the best I could, and this is where we are, and that's okay. And this idea that like everybody's perfect, Chris Pratt actually did just talk about this at the MTV Awards. He was like, look, no one's perfect. That's the point. If you're okay with the fact that you're not perfect and you don't have to be, you get to take a deep breath and accept grace from other people. Accept like, yeah, I'm not perfect. You know the thing that I'm really bad at? Cleaning my room, and I'm 33 years old. And my roommate was like, mind if I clean up while you're gone? And I was like, don't touch my stuff. Oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed. You know, and she's like, Linz, you're busy. It's going to be okay. Don't worry about it. It's just clothes. Just put them in the hamper. That's hard for me. But compassion, don't go into my hotel room. You're going to be like, how did your suitcase explode in 4 hours? I'm a master at it. Compassion means that you give it to yourself first. It might sound like a phrase. You might have to practice a phrase that's like, you know what? Everything's going to be okay. I'm still loved. It's not perfect, and that's okay. What if your programming when things didn't go right was, it's not perfect, that was interesting, wow, that didn't go as expected, and I'm still loved and it's going to be okay? Man, we'd all be a little less anxious, wouldn't we? I remember in high school and college, I ran myself on fear so that I get good grades. Some of you might come to a talk tomorrow called High Achiever Land. It's when we put ourselves in a position of stress to try to be more than we actually have to be. And I remember in college there was a time where I kind of wrote the wrong date on my statistics final, like on my calendar, and I missed my own statistics final. And I remember, you know that type of dread that's like primal? You're just like, this is it, I'm dying, like my organs are gonna shut down. And now I'm like, oh, it's just a statistics final. But then it was my world. And I remember I ran into the math library and I begged my teacher to let me take the test. And I ended up with like a C. And I'm like, okay, well, it's better than completely missing it. But I remember I had to walk myself through this compassion piece, like, okay, so I didn't write the right date on. Who does that? Who like, oh, I have a final, I'll just pick any day on the calendar, and if I show up, you know? And you're just like, oh, I'm such an idiot, and I like got into that space for a couple days. You know that space? You high achievers are like, preach it. We all do that to ourselves, and you know what? You're human, you're gonna make mistakes. You're probably gonna say something here to somebody, and you're gonna walk away and be like, oh, that felt weird, or that felt, you know, when you like try to be cool and it doesn't go well? One time I met my favorite musician, and I honestly thought it was a good idea to quote her own lyric to her. I wanted to die. I wanted to crawl under the table where the food was and just be like, you know what, I'm just, okay, that was good. Life was good, that was fun, I'm done now. Again, you're gonna be in moments where you're embarrassed, you're unsure of yourself, and if you can just be like, hey, Lindsay quoted a lyric to a musician that they wrote. What a dork. Okay, I'm not that bad, right? But really, give yourself the compassion that you need to not be anxious the whole time that you're here, and anxious in life. You will experience things that you don't expect. Ask any woman in this room, particularly in the front row, who's been doing life for a little bit longer than you. They're gonna be like, yep, sister, things don't go as planned. That's like a rule of the universe. Is that true, ladies? Oh, I just got one of these. Yeah, yeah. So you're gonna be okay. And start administering compassion to yourself. When you start to get anxious and like, oh, why did I say that? Ooh, just be like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna be okay. I can give compassion to myself. And then you can truly, truly give that to somebody else. These 4 things, vulnerability, deep listening, non-judgment, and compassion. If we can practice these muscles, they're atrophied in our culture. Nobody is good at these. We have to train people. That's why we have therapists. That's why we have to, there's no home ec class. Like, I sewed a watermelon pillow. I could have been learning how to do deep listening. That watermelon pillow my dog tore apart doesn't even exist anymore, right? There's things that you can be doing in your life right now to build brave relationships, and you just tried some of them on tonight, and I want to encourage you to spend more time at convention practicing these. You all get along better. I do want to share a couple dirty secrets that I've learned over time, and I've kind of already shared some. We're all afraid of each other in some way. We all compare. We all do that game. I do it too. I totally do it too. And at the end of the day, guess who you have to deal with, whose voice you have to deal with the most? Your own voice. So your relationship with yourself, if you beat yourself up to get stuff done, if you wake up late tomorrow and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm the worst, and you're beating yourself up, how are you going to walk in to your next meeting? You're going to be a mess. It's going to be difficult. So think about how you treat yourself, the relationship that you have with yourself is going to come out in the next few days, especially because we're not going to sleep a lot. We're having big girl sleepovers. We're going to have fun together. I'm sure we'll drink a lot of coffee at the same time, but you're going to have moments where you get to decide how you're going to treat yourself. And one of the epidemics in our culture that I see in my clients all the time and in my friends and in myself is shame. When we feel like we're the outsider, do you know what it's like for a tomboy to come to a sorority convention? Seriously, I was like, make that eyeliner thick, Linz. Just thicken that eyeliner right up, a lot of mascara. Let's get that going. Get some blush. I think it's here. It goes here? Okay, it goes there, right? But we all feel like outsiders. You all have a reason to feel like an outsider. And we could literally go through, and each of you could say the thing that makes you feel disqualified. So know that in a strange way, we are all dealing with that. We're all outsiders together. So what if we gave that up? What if we released that and didn't hold on to that? I decided about 4 days ago, I'm like, I am not going to not be a tomboy in 4 days. That is just who I am. I am not going to wear a jumper, right? So we're just going to wear my military jacket that I love. I will put on some heels to help, but like that's how I'm going to manage this. And we all need to give ourselves compassion. When you're feeling shame and separate than everybody else, know that it's an illusion. It's your relationship with yourself that's making you upset. No one else is thinking that. Well, maybe some of you are, but no, I'm just kidding. No one else is thinking about that thing that makes you feel insecure. Only you know about it. This last piece, so we have friendships, right? People that are kind of like us, that we jive with, but this is something that's really important in your life that you can build while you're here. It's called a life team. Here's some of the qualifications. They actually don't have to dress like you, so y'all can be on my life team. They don't have to be in your stage of life. I would encourage you to find people who are not in your stage of life. And they don't need to think like you. In fact, they shouldn't. In Indianapolis, I live in Indianapolis now, and there's a group of us, and we have this group. You can see it in the corner, the name. I'm going to try not to cuss, but you can read it with your own eyes, right? And these are actually our shoes. And a dude hung out with us one day, so ironically, him and I are wearing the same shoes. Classic, right? Classic. But you can see, just even by our shoes, that we're all different. And every time we get together, sometimes we take a picture of our coffee cups, and we all have a different amount of cream in it, you know? And the thing that we love is that we are all super different. We're wired different. Some of us have families, some of us don't. But what we are there to do is to support each other and practice those 4 relational skills. We've got each other's backs. And no, we don't hang out all the time, and no, we don't all have the same sense of humor, and we don't jive on like office jokes all the time, but we talk about things that really matter to us. So I want to encourage you, part of bravery is to have people in your life that are not like you. It's a little uncomfortable, isn't it? It's much easier if there was another girl here with this type of jacket, I'd be like, yo, bro, boom, right? But instead, if you found people you say, wow, we don't look like we have anything in common, I'm going to talk to you. That's what a brave person does. And if you're willing to do that, you'll find that your life is so enriched. I've actually run into several of you. Some of you I met at the airport, some of them I met in the lobby, and I asked you why you came to Sigma Kappa. And you know what people said? Relationships. I met people who brought me here. It's not like they were like, let me look at your values statement. Oh, I'm going to compare it to the other sororities, and okay, yours aligns the best. Did anybody do that? No, you're like, my friend and I did it together. You're here because somebody brought you here because of relationships. And now you have the chance to grow that even more by having people on your life team that are different than you. This is an awesome opportunity if you want to see it as a social experiment, like every day I'm going to talk to somebody who's not like me, who scares me a little bit. You will learn so much, and you'll get so much richness out of this experience. We all need people who challenge us by living authentically themselves. Oh, those scariest people. They're just like, I'm just going to do me. People who love us fiercely and protect us. How do we protect each other? By not gossiping. Wouldn't it feel good if you could like float above a conversation where somebody starts gossiping about you and your friend is like, hey, Dove love. Wouldn't you be like, that's my sis. All right, we got each other's backs. We need to all experience a little bit more of that so we can protect each other in the next few days by choosing not to do that. And people who are generous with compassion and understanding, you practice some of those skills today, right? And we're talking about the importance of compassion for yourself and other people. If you have these types of people in your life, you will be unstoppable. You will be unstoppable. I'm not just saying, oh, you're going to have a happy life, it's going to work out for you. You will be unstoppable because our strength is in numbers. That's how we are wired. We are herd animals. Even an elephant, if it's left alone, gets taken down. Even a cute little zebra, same deal, right? We are herd animals. We really do need each other. So what really is your dream for convention? I had you start out with that same question. I want you to turn to your neighbor and share again, now what's your dream? We've talked about brave relationships. I hope that this becomes part of your dream these next few days to actually meet somebody who blows your mind, right? So take a minute, share your dream with your table. All right. Some of the tables are actually practicing the dove call at this point. That's going to become a thing. So sorry, leadership. I've turned all your ladies into birds. It's fine. This is my favorite quote. I've learned that people will forget what you said. They're going to forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. Brave relationships. So how do you want to make people feel? Because however you make other people feel, you're going to feel the same. If you close yourself off the next few days and you're like, you know what, I'm just tired, I don't really want to do this connection, I'm going to sit in the back and just kind of like text, you're going to get the same thing coming back to you. It's a boomerang. If you decide to engage in brave relationships these next few days and you practice these skills that we talked about, you're going to be blown away at the types of people that you meet here. You don't even know their name yet, you don't know their story, but you will be amazed at how much you can get out of this type of opportunity with these many amazing people in the same room. The brave relationships start here. Start now. You don't have to wait. You don't have to be like, that's really good. I'm going to take that next semester. I'm totally going to do that. But right now, no, you can do it right now. You already tried on the awkward jumper tonight, so you're like ready to go, right? You can do so many amazing things if you just put your mind to it while you're here. You've already begun. You're going to forget most of what I said tonight. You'll probably remember Chris Pratt and the bird call, right? Awesome. So glad you remember those things. You're not going to remember a lot of what I said, but I hope that you do something different. I hope that you choose even one of those 4 skills. Be a little bit more vulnerable. Be a little bit more compassionate with yourself. Try listening to other people in a deep way and, do the dove love thing. I hope that you take the time for yourself and for your sisters here to